I think that a lot of people watching this can agree that when it comes to solo queuing ranked, Apex Legends is a little bit of a nightmare. It seems like no matter what you do, you can never climb and you feel absolutely stuck in your rank. Well, hello everyone, I'm your hostess with the mostest, 8-Second Gaming, and today I'm going to be breaking down some tips and tricks to turn you from an average Joe into a solo queue pro. But if you guys want the best Apex Legends guides, VOD reviews, highly in-depth breakdowns of everything that you need to become an absolute god in Apex, the kind of stuff that I promise you will not find anywhere else, you need to go check out the GameLeap website right now. We have a lot of content from high-level players, including myself, so click the link in the description right now to go get your membership. Solo queue in Apex is a weird thing. You can't play it like a normal 3-stack. Try as you might, your team will not have the level of communication or understanding that a group of players that play every day will have, so you need to go into fights knowing and understanding that. So tip number 1 I have for you is to use your microphone. There are so many headsets out there now with built-in mics, there should be absolutely zero reason you do not have a mic. I will give the people who might have a broken headset or people that have someone sleeping nearby them and can't use it at that specific time. But if you are able to use a mic and just decide not to, you are actively putting you and your team at a disadvantage. And in a team game, why would you choose to put your team in worse spots? It makes no sense. Apex Legends ping system is very good and extremely in-depth, but you can't ping if someone you shot used an ability, how much damage you did, or who they are playing. The more knowledge your team has when going into fights increases your chances at winning them so much more. And for those type of people who have a fan or music blasting in your microphone, first off, stop it. And second off, I know you have one, just give callouts. And I know that some people do have social anxiety and kind of holds them back a little bit. I'm not saying you have to have full-blown conversations with your team, just say small things like Wraith tagged, 87 blue, she phased, and that's about it. Give your team info and be done with it. You'll win a lot more fights in the long way and be on your way to climbing. Now diving right into tip number 2, it's to use the right legend. Now, a lot of legends are extremely viable when it comes to solo queuing, and we did do a breakdown on this channel for the best legends to do so. But one that I left out from that video because I'd yet to test them fully and didn't want to give out information without knowing myself. I have since solo queued in high tier ranked lobbies with this legend and absolutely love them, and that is Valkyrie. One of the main reasons I did not think Valkyrie would be as good as she is because with her ultimate, teams seem to think that you can just do whatever you want because you have a rotate out of jail free card. And I was worried that teams would abuse that and not play properly around it, and don't get me wrong, it has happened. Randoms have tried to take horrible fights in zone because we have Valkyrie, we can just jump out if needed, and it has gone wrong so many times. But Valkyrie offers a lot of flexibility for you and your team. If they're gonna run off and die, it leads perfectly into tip number 3. And tip number 3 is don't be afraid to leave your randoms behind. Now, I know a lot of people might be worried about that tip, but I am serious. One of the biggest things that helped me solo queue to masters was this tip right here. You can never know what your randoms are going to do. You can try to IGL or give comms, but at the end of the day, they're going to run around and shoot whatever they want. Do not fall into the mindset of if they die, I have to die trying to get their banners. It isn't worth it and you will lose so many points. Obviously, if the banner is safe to grab and respawn them, then do it. But if the team is banner camping and you cannot get it, don't dive for it. I see a lot of people overcommit to getting banners, and this is a huge thing that I absolutely hate watching people do. You can rotate, wrap for placement, and be perfectly fine. Tip number 4 is to play with a loadout that fits your legend. Now, a lot of people play with guns that they enjoy, and yes, you should do that. Being comfortable with guns is important in fights, but some guns work well on certain legends, and you need to understand that. Let's take, for example, if you're playing a character like Octane, someone who's designed to be up close and personal, taking the fight to the enemy, you shouldn't be running a sniper rifle. You would want an SMG, a shotgun, or an AR. But if you're running a support legend like Gibraltar, you can run snipers or marksman rifles as they help your team in longer ranges and you'll be playing a lot further back sometimes. As a solo queuer, you need to be putting in as much work in fights as you possibly can, and if you have a bad loadout, you won't be able to do that. Now, tip number 5 is going to be that you want to mainly look for third-party fights. In a game like Apex, fights can be turned so quickly off of one ability, so you want to try and avoid taking straight up 3v3s. You don't want to have to rely on randoms because they will lose you fights. Looking for third parties, you can easily wipe up some KP and not have to overcommit to anything, allowing you to easily rack up some points and play for endgame. One thing that I always do when solo queuing is I try to look for a landing spot with 2 to 3 teams that are going to it. I'll land close by, loot safely what I need, and then sit on the outskirts of their POI until they fight. I can hear what guns they're using, so when they pop up in the kill feed, I know that there are knocks or trades in that fight. And then I can walk in, clean up whoever's left, and I'm golden for the rest of the game. I get to ride it out for placements. This is a very good strategy to use for ranked, not just solo queuing, and I will let you borrow this idea only if you drop a thumbs up on the video right now. Now moving on to tip number 6, it is to not throw excuses around. Look at what you did wrong before looking at others. Now, for a lot of people, this is a no duh type of tip, but I see a lot of people die once or twice and they start to throw out a ton of excuses or raging. Where was my team? Well, why did you run away from them? You have a mini-map also. If they aren't sticking with you, then you should be sticking with them. That way you'll always know who's around you and have at least one teammate. If they aren't doing anything or they just start kind of randomly walking around, ping locations and try to motivate them. Why is he there? That's such a dumb spot. If it worked and killed you, it isn't dumb. Playing outside the box and being unpredictable is a huge asset in fights when it comes to Apex. I'm so much better than this guy. He's lucky his team was there. No, he isn't lucky. It's a team game. Learn to play with your team and you'll win a lot more fights. He's on controller. Aim assist wins again. Aim assist is a thing in the game, and if you agree with it or not, it's here to stay, so you have to learn to play around it sometimes. It might go in your favor, it might not. Fights change very quickly, and stuff like this will happen in Apex. Take a hit of copium and move on. My randoms suck. Why can I never get good teammates? Your teammates are in the same rank as you. You've all done something to get there. You are the only constant on your team when playing solo queue. So what you want to do is learn to adapt to your team's playstyle no matter what it is. Play to their strengths and you'll see a lot of improvement. Stop throwing excuses out there. There's always a solution. You just have to look for it. And now tip number 7 is don't bark orders at your team. Don't be an IGL, be more of an IGS. For those of you that don't know, IGL stands for in-game lead or in-game leader, so IGS is in-game suggester. Take something like this for example. You're running around with your own idea in your head. A random starts throwing orders at you. None of it lines up with your plans or playstyles, so you brush it off and continue on your way. That's what happens to your randoms when you start telling them what to do. Instead of saying, take this house, it's a better spot. Try saying, hey, do you guys want to move over here to this house? I think it's a better spot for endgame and will give us a higher chance at winning. Instead of saying, play Gibby, he's a better legend. Say, hey, do you mind playing Gibraltar by any chance? I think he's a better fit with our team comp. Instead of saying, you need to look at this angle to make sure no one comes behind us. Say, hey man, do you mind watching behind us so that no one sneaks up while I'm sniping? That way you make it their choice instead of forcing something onto them. It will yield better results in the long run and make your team have so much more success in games. Trying to make randoms do something will never work, but you want to make it seem like they have a choice to do it or not. That way they are more likely to just go along with your plan. And tip number 8 is another huge one that I used on my own solo climb to masters, and that is to take breaks. Apex is stressful. Games can go wrong. You may lose a game that you should have won. Randoms are bad. Servers are bad. There could be a cheater in there. There's a lot of stuff that can happen. So instead of getting angry and tilt queuing, which will end up losing you more points in the long run because you're playing angry and not making decisions properly, stand up and walk around. I personally follow the 3-5 rule. If I go negative 3 games out of 5, I take a break. This can be as little as grabbing a glass of water or as big as changing games for a bit or even getting off for the night, but you need to take a break and have that mental reset. This will result in you not losing more points and help you on your grind, ranking up way higher. Apex solo queue will always be tough to follow through with. Stuff will go wrong and you have to be able to deal with it. But with these tips, you will have a lot better of a chance to handle things when they get thrown at you. If you guys found these tips useful and want to stay up to date with even more, don't forget to smash that sub button and ring the bell. Hope you all have a fantastic day. Thank you for watching. Once again, I'm 8 Second Gaming and I will see you in the next one.